Alright, I'm going to do a quick recap on my trades today. I took two break-evens going into Asia session where I could not get any actual trades going into New York, sadly, but I'll still break down New York, everything that happened during New York, and how we can grow from it, what I did today, everything. So going into Asia, I got pretty hyped up over some levels. I mean, I got a little bit carried away, if I'm being honest, when I was trading. I saw some good levels. I decided might as well do it, so I sent it for the level, and the level didn't work. So first level I showed it off of, it was this order block. Hopped on the 15-minute inversion inside this 15-minute, good enough for me. Sent it and it ticked it, which I recorded it. I made a TikTok out of it. You always grow from these trades. So CE of that, I got my fill somewhere like around here. And I was targeting the low of this end dog. I was heavily bearish because of this major expansion. Now the overall narrative for the day and the reason why I was looking for shorts at these highs was because I want to see this whole range get rebalanced. This range, I want to see rebalancing. From this high down to this low, I want to see us. And as you can see, price just bottomed straight into it. So very beautifully done. Now for the second level, the high of day that I got busted break even on. Now this one was sad. I was targeting low of end dog. I was very confident in this draw on liquidity. Right here, this was it, 45 points. Now how could we have caught this level? Well, it's not really high of day anymore. Well, during Asia, I like to trade the midpoints of these wicks, these daily wicks. Now we're going to go and we're going to see the alignment on this. Oh wait, was it OTE? No way. Hold up, give me 1 second. I got to go through the thing. I think it was the 4-hour wick. 4-hour wick and then daily OTE alignment was a level, my bad. So it wasn't full daily OTE alignment, but we did have decent OTE alignment, as you can see. Within the range, the 0.5 of the wick is OTE. This is the 4-hour wick that I took it off of. My bad. I thought it was the daily. It was not the daily. It was the 4-hour wick. So I just sent it off of this level, and where was it? Okay, I sent it off of the level, and right here you can see I got my fill. We got tapped in, tagged in, right? And I was in with 4-point stop loss, I'm pretty sure. 4-point stop, 2 NQ contracts. So that means my take profit was near $2,000. 5 extra points would be a $2,000 take profit. And ran lower. I was like, okay, shift in market structure. There should be a breakaway gap up here. We shouldn't come back up into it. We're good to go break even. Busted break even. Well, all my other friends, they didn't go break even. They held on and they won. So congrats to them. Nice job. Regardless of that, I want to see this whole move going into New York act as AMD. I still went through the live. It's live stream if you guys want to go through the live, see my thought process. But I want to see this whole move act as AMD. Accumulation, manipulation into what? Well, what's the overall narrative for the day? Rebalance 0.5 of this entire range. Come back down, rebalance the range perfectly. Now, I want to be bearish until what? This is the 931st presented gap. So, something I could have done better here. I was kind of looking for continuation shorts for not really a good reason at all. I was just looking for continuation shorts. Not good, if I'm being honest. So, with that in mind, I should have been long biased on the day. And after doing everything I wanted to see it do, I should have just kept looking for it. But I think I was just too caught up in the chat. I wanted to be against what other people were looking for. So, yeah, that's it. So 931st presented gap, manipulation lower, we got the run lower, now we enter macro. Now, something that we could have seen to anticipate the closure above, this is a high probability inversion because we utilize it to run lower to this BISI right here inside of the 931st presented gap inside of macro. So 931st presented gap right here, just so you guys can see, 931st presented, we come lower, we retrace, and we show that we're bullish by reacting off of this BISI. We come into this BISI and we end up running higher. Now that we've rejected higher off of this BISI, I like to say that this is confirmation that we are willing to go higher. Price is starting to bearish PD arrays are failing. Bullish PD arrays are holding. Another thing, what are we doing to this change in state or this order block? Well, we're holding the bodies. The bodies are respecting it, so it's clear. What are we going to do when we close above this high probability inversion inside of the macro? After we've already shown that we're bullish, we've already completed our objective for the higher time frame, which is power 3 accumulation, manipulation lower. Now we can look for distribution higher, and we already rebalanced the range, so we are good to go higher in an overall bullish market. Well, closing above 930% gap is kind of like an indicator for us. When we close above it, I'm confidently bullish. So as I said, this is I said that I would typically long this. This is a good long here because we closed above the 931st gap, and we also have a breakaway gap down at this low. I mentioned that this is where breakaway gaps form the best. Now that we form the breakaway gap, our stop would initially be below this low right here. No specific reason. I just really like the range. I kind of get a feel for price action, how we're ranging, how much points we run through, and I'm willing to see us come through here. But I think, or I was thinking at the time we'd come into CE or whatever. The moment we close higher and we form this BISI, we are good to go almost basically break even because we want to see the breakaway gap get held. And as you can see, breakaway gap did get held up until you could run up to this high. Another long entry we had was a continuation long entry for the daily power of 3. Now for this one, I was just really caught on to this BISI because, or the SIBI, because how well it held price lower. This SIBI was something I was looking at, and the same logic applied. You could have longed off of this high probability inversion, as I said in the live. Stop below, or no, the stop, as I was saying, was you could have it because we do not want to see the entirety of this BISI get filled. We want to see the lower portion get left open, or the whole thing left open, because we are obviously bullish. Power 3, this is a more parabolic expansion higher. Now, with that in mind, clearest drawn liquidity would obviously be this high, but in the stream, I said I would just target midnight open, which was a clear drawn liquidity, as you can see here. For these two longs, targeting both midnight open were two very good decisions. And with that in mind, we can go into, I guess you can say, the next trade. So I actually haven't seen price throughout this point, so I'm just going to make a few assumptions about what we're seeing here. Standard deviation, we haven't really ran up into it, so I'm just going to plop this wick to wick, see how it looks. So wick to wick of this manipulation leg lower, 0.5 came into really, we came into 0.5 really nicely. Now with this in mind, I'm going to look for SMT at this high because we have a really good macro entry, macro short setup inside of that. So we're going to hop on the 5-minute. Is there any clear SMT here that we could utilize? Well, we have SMT with this high on Y. Yeah, we have SMT at that high with YM. Now is there any internal SMT like swing divergences? Right here, perfect. So inside of the macro, okay, wait, did we run higher, or is this just equal highs? I would actually want to see cleaner SMT than this. The SMT at the highs with YM, I'd be good enough with that. But in terms of the macro terminology, the highest probability PD array that we can enter off of is the macro BPR. Now, we're going to go based off of both macro opens, which both of them actually showed a bearish scenario. We disrespected the SIBI, but that's not good enough for entry. We want to see more confirmation. So, macro runs up higher, running through the high, instead of second standard deviation, we can reasonably anticipate a retracement. So, let me just test this out. I'm just using some concepts I've heard of, but never actually tried out, like distribution like standard deviation. Oh. This will probably help in my data collection later, just for my extra stuff. But, basically just run higher, manipulation higher, internal SMT with YM. I wish we could have ended internal SMT here, but inside of the macro, forming SMT is really high probability. We're not just going to go short off of this just because it's inside of the macro and we run up the high. We want to wait for more structure to form. We can either wait for a reversal signature, which would be change in state of delivery, which would come here, go lower, and then we can catch some sort of continuation entry lower. Or we can wait for a BPR, but I would definitely want to see some sort of key level get ran into, which we can go back on and refer back to the 4-hour CE of that wick. So with that in mind, I mean, I think that's really everything I could go over. Stage 1, Stage 2 liquidity, by the way, engineered, external or internal, external run on external, high probability breaker right here. This is the high probability breaker. I'm going to mark out the whole down close candle because of the Stage 1, Stage 2 liquidity, closure below. So after seeing the BPR get held, the highest probability entry is off of the high probability breaker with Stage 1, Stage 2 liquidity. And, I mean, this is all hindsight. I would never really target for standard deviation. This is sick. That this actually kind of nailed that bottom tick precisely. But more on this later. I want to make a free guide for top and bottom ticking. Yeah, that is marked out properly. Holy smokes. Okay, but with that in mind, best probability or highest probability entry would be just shorting off of the high probability breaker after we already come into the BPR, the macro BPR gets held. We can anticipate a reasonable expectation to run lower. Now we just got to slap down 0.5 of the range, where does hopefully rebalance lines up with second standard deviation. Does not. So honestly, I'd probably just target out this low. This low is, it's not a data low or anything, it's just a really prominent low. There's some weird stuff happening at that low, so we're just going to aim for that low. Target the complete fill of the gap as the stop, and then target out this weird low. just bang lower from that. This is just another accumulation, manipulation, stage 1, stage 2, distribution lower, rebalance into discount, run higher, slow run higher actually. So we can reasonably expect price to run higher into the daily candles OTE, which that's probably going to be my next level. But I got to work on my motorcycle. I got some new stuff in. So you guys take it easy, everyone. Hopefully you learned something. If 3 people comment on this video, I will continue doing recaps. If there's no 3 comments, then I'm never doing recaps again.